and welcome to episode 2 of our new podcast, Pure Crack, with Sláinte Theatre. This is our first guest episode, and we are so happy to have Rachel Galvo on with us today. How are you doing?
Hey guys, thank you so much. I'm honoured that I am your first guest.
Of course.
I am doing really, really well.
Yeah, you are.
It's such
you are.
No, not in that sense. I mean, yes, in that sense as well. I am probably probably at the happiest point in my life.
That's really nice.
That's such a nice thing to realise as well. To be like, oh
I know,
my God,
and to be aware of it in the moment as well,
yeah.
and be present and have that level of self-awareness is. I feel grateful. Because, of course there are moments of sometimes I struggle with dissociation when it's all happening so quickly. But I have such an amazing group of friends and family around me who are just cheering me on. I'm so happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for the listeners who don't know, Rachel is
everyone should know who I am.
Yes, it's a household name. Yeah. So Rachel's doing 3 shows in Dublin, which have already sold out. You're doing a show in Glasgow.
2 minutes?
It's sold out at 9 on the dot. Yeah,
that's insane.
I couldn't get any.
You're my mum wants to come.
Yeah. What venues is it in Dublin?
So the 5th of September, it's in the Sugar Club. That was kind of the first when MCD approached me. That was our kind of first idea. And then when that sold out at 9 on the dot, we said, let's definitely do at least 2 more shows. And we did them in the Academy because they're slightly bigger. So that's going to be the 17th and 18th of October.
And then you're doing the Oranmore in Glasgow.
I'm doing the Oranmore, which I cannot wait. I've never even been to Glasgow.
Have you not?
No. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave.
Rex.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm still in my 9 to 5 now. I've handed in my notice, but I had to give them sufficient notice in advance.
Yeah.
And I leave that in about 2 weeks. And then I have about 3 weeks before everything kicks off. So I'm going to take that time to go to Glasgow, check the theatre out. I'm going to go to the Leicester Square Theatre where I'm doing my London show, which is announced today. I'm going to go to Edinburgh and see my theatre for Fringe. I'm just going to kind of go around the country and scope out the different theatres I'm performing in and just make sure I'm prepared for that.
So what date's Oranmore?
Oranmore is the 11th of October.
11th of October.
Yes.
And then you're doing Leicester Square Theatre in London.
Yes.
Which is going on sale this week.
It's going on sale at 10 a.m. on Friday on Ticketmaster.
Wow. This will be out afterwards. So
okay. I hope to dear God it's sold out. I hope so.
So what date's Leicester Square?
27th of September.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a Friday night, which I'm very blessed to have even gotten that availability.
Yeah.
When Live Nation first contacted me, they were like, this is the ideal venue, but not realistic for you want to do it in September. Because I'm kind of trying to do we've still got more shows coming out, but I want to do all Ireland and UK shows happening in September, October. Just because, I want to move on and write again and keep moving. So he was like, that's not realistic, and for some reason we got it, which I'm so happy about.
Yeah, so if tickets are still available, they probably won't be, but go check it out.
Go grab some.
Yes, so this is your show, Shite Feminist.
Yes.
So how did you come up with that? What's the story behind it?
I hate this story because it's totally uninspiring. Basically, I've been doing magazine interviews and newspaper interviews this week, and I'm every time this question comes up, I'm this is going to be the most boring answer. Basically, I did a master's in acting school, and you had to write a show. You had to write a thesis, and then the show was the practical element. And so I wrote my thesis on how humor can be used to progress social movements.
Wow,
and the way the psychology of humor works around that. And I focused on the feminist movement specifically, and then as a practical element, I wrote this show about my time in my time in Irish Catholic school, and if I could look back at my life, where would I find moments of feminism and then how do I use that going forward? Of course it was comedy, and I was kind of trying to disprove this idea that women just aren't fully full stop. And there's a lot of sexism in the comedy industry. It's getting better, but there still is, and traditionally with the comedy circuit, it's just been much harder for women unless they kind of androgynize themselves and make themselves less feminine, or if they're performing to only other women or something. So I did the show and I loved it as part of theatre school, but I never thought that it was going to be, not that I didn't believe in myself, I just couldn't imagine doing my own thing completely by myself. Like I have grown up in theatre companies with groups of people, with orchestras and directors and producers and a cast of people. And like the idea of doing a one-woman thing just never crossed my mind.
Sure.
So I left drama school and sent out my agent emails, no mail, and started my corporate job. And then a group from my drama school, Mountview, said that they were doing this theatre festival, Kaleidoscope, for anyone who wanted to perform a bit of their show again, that they haven't had a chance to do it since. Yeah. So I thought, just for a bit of crack, I haven't performed in a while, haven't had any auditions, whatever. And I did it, and my friend Alexis recorded it for me, and I posted a few clips online. And then within like 24 hours, the two biggest production companies in Ireland reached out to me asking for a show, which felt like really weird. I was out on a walk for a coffee the morning after with my friend Kate, and I was like, I just got this message from these people. And I was so skeptical of it at first. I was like, nobody is going to come to this. Like, this is so silly. And then... Sorry, am I talking way too much?
No, we're here to talk to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, I just babble.
No, you're good.
And then I went and it went on sale. Like the night before, I was like, I posted a TikTok being like, this is so embarrassing, guys, but my show's going on sale. No tickets might be sold, but I'm going to ask my mum to buy like 30 just in case, so it looks good.
Yeah.
And then 9 a.m. rolled around. I mean, I was supposed to be starting my job at 9 a.m. I started a little later that day. And then I got all these texts, like DMs at 9 on the dot being like, oh no, Ticketmaster's down, the website's broken because it's not working, I can't get tickets. And I was like, this is humiliating. Like, this is so embarrassing. My first show and the website's broken down, and I've done an announcement and I've hyped it up. And then even my managers were like, it's broken down, we can't get tickets. And then Leslie, our producer from MC, called and she's like, no, it's sold out.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I know. It really, really is.
That's absolutely crazy.
When in this process did you start building like your TikTok and your like online following?
I started that when I, like, really taking it seriously when I graduated from drama school, because it, in a sense, was like a little bit of a creative outlet for me, like recording myself and editing the clips together and then doing voiceovers. And if anyone's seen my videos, my voiceovers are never really like, and then I went to the park and then I had a smoothie and then it's very much like storytelling, which is kind of a lot of my performance style. So in a way that was like writing little scripts each night and producing like mini movies.
Yeah.
So it felt like a nice creative outlet when I wasn't acting, I wasn't writing, I wasn't doing anything in that space. And I'm also, it was at a time when I was feeling very like emotionally vulnerable and scared shitless in London with no job. And I had all these friends who I'd gone to Trinity with in these incredible jobs, like insane jobs. Yeah. So impressive. And I had made the executive decision to not go down that route. And it was really hard to live with that decision. Yeah. And I wasn't having success anywhere, so I chose to be vulnerable online because I wasn't seeing many people doing that. And for some reason it just took off and people were really...
Well, yeah.
It's relatable and no one's talking about it.
Yeah,
I think that's so important.
And now you've got like, what, almost 30,000 followers on TikTok?
Which is still like, it's small in comparison to like creators, but I never wanted to be an influencer. Like, I don't want to be... I really just want to do performing and creating and writing, and I wanted to use that as a platform to share that with people and to promote my own stuff, which it's allowed me to do. Yeah. Which I'm so grateful for. And it's also really, really lovely to like... I've actually met so many amazing friends through it, which sounds... I know people wouldn't believe that, but this whole weekend I spent with my friends, Megan and Eris, who... Megan is Megan Halley, so one half of the Cortisol sisters, who wrote that play, and then her sister Shannon lives in New York, and they wrote Dollar Babies with Eris, who's a girl from Galway, and they like recorded a short film in LA. They're recording a short film in Cork. So I spent the whole weekend with them, and they reached out to me through TikTok. And like, so this thing that if I'm being honest, I thought at the beginning, like, TikTok's kind of vacuous, or like everyone... that's really awfully honest. And but it's really not. You can really find your people. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm really, really grateful for it. And then she had a gorgeous coffee morning on Saturday morning. It was just full of Irish creatives. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, it was a coffee morning that turned into an Aperol afternoon. And I don't take the sun very well at all. And I don't drink enough water, so like I was so sick on Sunday. It was so worth it. Yeah.
That sounds amazing, though.
Oh my God, it was fabulous.
Yeah.
It was really, really, really nice. She just kind of mentioned it to me on Friday evening, and I was like, okay, I'll pop along. And then I was just surrounded by the coolest people who were like, I'm writing this, I'm producing this, I'm doing that. And I was like, I'm telling some jokes. Come along.
Yeah, so how did you, so obviously you say you went to Mount View.
Yes.
How did you, go from Catholic school in Ireland to come to Mount View? What's the kind of...
With Trinity Global Business in between, which is hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
So, God, how did I? Well, I was born in and forced to go to private Catholic school. So that was not a choice, which was probably the hardest 15 years of my life.
God, yeah.
Yeah, it was, but I'm grateful for the content it's given me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah,
Use
it
it.
was terrible at the time. I get these messages from young girls being like, people say school is the best time of your life, and I'm really like, that's a really depressing thought to me. Is that true? And I'm like, it breaks my heart, because I remember thinking that, if this is it, then fucking hell, I don't want to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I say, I promise you it gets better, especially for people like us, I think, who are really ourselves and creative. School can be quite a limiting environment, especially somewhere like a private
Irish
school.
Catholic school.
But yeah, so I did that, and because I was surrounded by such kind of high achievers, but in a very limited sense, high achievers in the corporate sense, or leaving cert points, or exam results, or sports. I always thought that that's what success was measured by.
Sure.
And so whilst I loved performing, I never ever saw it as a career possibility or a career path. I didn't see anyone around me doing that.
Yeah.
It was that's cute that you do your plays. It's a musical, mum. And that's cute and it's fun, but do your exams or play your sport.
Yeah.
Or, what's the thing that you have to show for?
That will help you get into university to get a real job.
Yeah. And I understand why she was worried as well, or they were worried. But actually, that being said, my parents were way more supportive and believed in me way more than I did. My mum saw in me that I should be a performer before I did.
Wow.
So when I was... sorry. I'm really going off track.
No, don't be silly. Go on.
So yeah, grew up and I did the whole school thing. And then as my extracurricular, I never really got invited to the parties. I didn't have many friends. So I would spend my time at rehearsals and theatre. And I absolutely loved it. And I found my group. And I was really, really naughty. If I ever had shows that would go on late at night in the Helix or whatever, I would not kind of miss school the next day because I'd be exhausted. Of course, you're getting home at 1 a.m. and you're performing shows every night of the week. But school was not a priority for me. Luckily, I was quite naturally intelligent, which is not a brag. And I know if you're Irish, it's oh, fuck you. But I just
let's own it. You're clever.
Yeah. I'm not. I've got my head screwed on. Do you know what I mean? So. But I had no fucking interest in any of the subjects. There was nothing creative. I really butted heads with my teachers because I had undiagnosed ADHD, which we both didn't know. And so there was a huge misunderstanding. I think they maybe thought of me as disrespectful, as in why didn't you do that work? Or why didn't you study for that? And I didn't understand it myself, and I was really hard on myself for being maybe lazy. Jesus Christ, I'm so bad at going off. So I did the theatre thing. I did the theatre thing on the side, but I kept school as school.
Yeah.
School frustrated me, but I really wanted to prove everyone wrong. So I did quite well in my exams towards the end.
Nice.
I'm the type of person I won't work until it needs to be done.
Yeah.
With my university degree, with my school, it doesn't matter. Oh my God, shit, maybe I need to study for this. Okay. Thank you. Do you know what I mean? And I also it's kind of a bit of a fuck you to everyone who never... I love doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And then... So when I was 16, I got a scholarship to Walnut Hill School of the Arts in Boston for the summer, which was really fun. And it was kind of very much a dance academy, Victorious, what you see in the movies, literally fame school. It's this school in the countryside of Boston, of Massachusetts, where all these kids who are essentially that their life is going to be on Broadway, and they go there. It was amazing. And there was an opera course, there was a ballet course, there was a musical theatre course, and it was it was probably the first time in my life where I really felt myself and felt surrounded by people who really understood me. Theatre school, theatre kids.
Yeah.
And was really, really lucky to play the lead in that. And I kind of, even surrounded by all international kids who had got scholarships there then to get the lead, that was kind of affirming that was okay, maybe I am good enough.
Yeah.
And then there was kind of talks of, would you stay on here and finish your school here rather than go home and do leaving cert. That was also about $150,000. So absolutely there was no chance of that. And also my parents were like, if you don't do your leaving cert and you go to this performing arts high school, you have no other options.
Yes.
You have no other roads you can go down. And I'm so grateful that they decided that for me. I really, really am. Even though it's the road I have gone down, it's really nice to know that there were options.
And you can always step away if you decide you don't want to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a sickening amount of money to spend on anything, which we did not have. So I came home and I was a little bit depressed for fifth year then after that summer, because it was like, there's this whole world out there and I'm sat here learning Irish and
you
maths
got like
and
a little
English.
taste of it.
Oh
Like, this is what I want to do.
And I was telling all my teachers, like, don't worry about it guys, I'm not going to do the leaving cert. Just so you know, I'm going to theatre school, like, you don't need to worry about me. And so the minute I got that idea in my head, my parents were like, okay, fine, then let's take this seriously. You want to go to theatre school? My mum had like ordered all the, what are they called? Prospectus books? For all like the Conservatory in Scotland and Royal Academy of Music and RADA and everything. And like booked flights for open days. And then it was becoming quite real. All of this was happening at the same time when people were getting very serious about leaving school and the courses they wanted to do and doing well. And I just felt like I was kind of being pulled in both directions, because I was in an environment where everyone was measuring success based on school points and exams, whereas my home life was like follow your dream, and I was really, really confused. So I ultimately decided to succumb to the peer pressure. And I remember telling my mum, like, Mum, I'm not gonna do drama, I'm not gonna do acting, I think it's practical for me to do a business degree.
What a backward conversation.
No, I know.
Most of the time it's like, let me go do theatre.
No, I know.
No.
It was complete, and that's why my parents aren't delusional. Like, they're completely copped on. They just believed in me. They knew.
And that's amazing.
And also, like, I'm in a privileged position where they would have been able to send me to drama school, which is like a really, really amazing thing to be able to say. But yes, there was that conversation, which was like, okay. I'm sure in the back of their mind there was some level of relief, but they knew themselves. Maybe there was a little bit of disappointment in my mum, like, oh, I really want you to be yourself. So, and also though, because I wanted to do musical theatre, the real only option for me, I think at that time, in terms of the level of a course I wanted to do, was to move away. And I had struggled with a lot of mental health, and I'm very close to my family, and I just didn't feel ready for that at 18. I still felt quite young. And also you're babied in private Irish Catholic school. You know, if you're asking to go to the bathroom at 18 years old, I don't think you know how to care for yourself as an adult. So I don't think I could have lived alone in London at 18.
Flying across the sea is big.
So all of that stuff came together, and I'm just talking so much. This is not even a conversation. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm
sorry, everybody. If you're like, this girl is driving me mad. But so then, I mean, literally within the first week of Trinity. I studied business, and business was there, but that was not my university experience. My university experience was the drama club and musical theatre.
We talked about, when we did the first podcast, we basically just talked about ourselves for an hour and a half.
It was horrible. We recorded for 2 hours.
We recorded for 2 hours. We ended up cutting it down to about an hour and 10. But so much of what we talked about, especially the two of us, was just, we went and did like proper degrees. But we spent so much of our time, like, university was the drama society, and you did your degree on the side.
Yeah,
you know
completely.
I mean, my second degree was theatre.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
I only did a real degree for 1 year, and then I said no.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I was like, especially my second year, when I was like, no, I want to be an actor. I did the biomedical sciences degree, and
oh my god,
the degree was something you did so that you could keep doing it.
So that you could have the university card that would let you into the society.
I need to pass my exam so I can come back next year. I'm doing Anthony and Cleopatra, you know.
I like cried to my mum once in the car after my like first festival I ran in Scotland, and I was like, she's like, and how is uni going? And I was like, I hate it. I don't want to be here. I hate it. And she's like, you've only got like 2 years left. You're good. And I was like, I'm only here for STAG. I shouldn't theatre. Like, and she was like, okay, like, fair enough to her.
No,
bizarre, but that's
the thing.
It's so common. I think all of us are like, that's what I love, but I want to do something that makes sense, and it's what you're talking about. It's fighting that like I know who I am and what I want to do, but everyone else is doing this, and I want to be making the right choices because you're so afraid of making the wrong one.
For sure.
And also afraid of what people think of you.
Exactly, yeah.
Like
100%.
What?
100%.
Not in the sense like, people struggle with so many different elements of identity, and this is, I mean, probably the least to worry about. But when, like, all of my parents' friends, or all of my friends' parents, were all hugely successful in the corporate world, like really, really successful, and that was then that measure of success. If you could get a job at XYZ company, or if you could get, at the big accountancy firms or the big investment banks, like, you have made it.
Yeah.
And like, I would be humiliated, which just really breaks my heart, like, telling people like I want to be an actor, but also a lot of the time they would laugh or giggle, those people. So it wasn't just in my head. And it's actually really interesting now to see the people that
worm their way back all the time. No?
Yes. I'm scared to say, I don't think worming their way back, they were never in my life.
Yeah.
But like, my mum just tells me about running into people in Dublin. And she's like, this person, or like,
is asking like,
like saying you're doing amazingly. And it's like, that person turned their nose up at me. For doing community theatre all those years. Do you know what I mean?
But you get that, I suppose, like, and I had the same thing when I first said I wanted to be an actor, and I was doing my degree, but people said to me like, you want to be an actor? Like, seriously? Like, you're doing this like serious degree. I wanted to be a doctor when I was in school, so like, you're going to want to be a doctor to want to be an actor.
Jesus.
And then it was that thing of like, I think it's especially an Irish thing of, you have to have like, there's a certain respect that comes with certain jobs, like being a doctor or an accountant.
Oh, absolutely,
And if you say that to someone, they're like, oh wow, you must be really intelligent or whatever. Whereas if you say you're an actor,
you got safety.
Exactly. Whereas if you tell someone you're an actor, they're like, oh, you must be a waster.
Completely.
Like that must be the only thing you can do, because if you could do anything else, you would do that.
I think there's also like, there's something about Irish humility. And I think if you say that you want to be an actor, people assume that you like have so much confidence in yourself and you're cocky and jazz hands and show hands that it's like they cringe at that. Which is what I think. Which is why I moved to the TikTok thing, because it's like, I don't want to tell people in my life this, so I'm going to put it out online. I realised I never finished my transition to things.
So you went to Trinity, did your global business thing.
Did global business within the first week of shows. Sorry, the first week of university, there's like what's it called, Freshers Week, and I saw the musical theatre stand, and like people who I had done community theatre with, they're like, Rachel over here, and I was like, dude, taking a beeline for it, like past all the investment societies, past the engineering society, and they were like, we're doing Chicago this year, you should come and audition. And I was like, this is so embarrassing, I'm definitely not good enough, this is humiliating, but I need to just go and audition. And I grew up with like, I was taught that when you go to an audition, like the first thing you learn in acting school is you have to be comfortable with being embarrassed. So like when you go to an audition, there's no such thing as like cringiness or embarrassment. So I, of course, in my first week of university, turned up to the Chicago audition in a full mesh bodysuit with a slick back ponytail and a red lip.
Yes! Yes, you did.
It went really well, the first audition. And then I got a call back, and that went really well. And then I was sitting in the Pav, which is the bar in Trinity, on one sunny day, loving this newfound freedom, in like this little tartan dress with my Doc Martens, which I just bought, which is like, you have to buy when you go to Trinity. And I was kind of locked at the Pav, and I get this text from Cian, who is the choreographer, but who I'd done shows with before. He was like, Rachel, where the feck are you? You know it's the last round now. And I was like, what? It had gone into my spam.
Oh my God, no.
So I sprint to where the theatre auditions were, and I was in this tiny dress and tights and Doc Martens. Everyone else was in their like character shoes and their dance stuff. I hadn't learned the songs. There was 3 of us. There was 2 girls in their 3rd and final year who had done the musical, who they played the leads the whole way up, and then there was me. And I was locked. Did you learn the 2 songs? No, I didn't learn the 2 songs. I didn't have. Do you know the musical? No, I didn't know the musical. I should have known the musical Chicago. I wasn't like the theatre kid that was like obsessed with theatre, but I just really loved doing it. Like hogging the spotlight, actually. So they were like, okay, here's the sheet music. Can you just like go? There's 3 minutes. Just listen to it once on Spotify and learn it. And for some reason, I got the role.
Wow.
Yeah, I got the
I
role.
love that.
And so I played Velma in Chicago in my first year, which was like insane. I was
Yeah.
this 18-year-old, basically in a brand tights on stage, dancing with a black wig. And like I remember like my first boyfriend at the time came to see it. That must have been such an ick. But I just thought I was the shit. Like I thought I was hot shit. And then so second year came around and we did Jesus Christ Superstar, and then they gender bent the role of Pontius Pilate for me, which was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
they called me back for Judas, and it was myself and 12 men called back for Judas. But they couldn't like modulate the key because the whole musical would have to been done. So I was like, Jesus! They're like, that sounds nice, it's just not impressive. Okay, so they did Pontius Pilate, and then COVID came around, we weren't actually able to do that.
Oh, nightmare.
Then we did Guys and Dolls, I played Adelaide. So it was just like, and still, yes, in all this time, I never considered theatre as a profession.
Yeah.
It still was a hobby.
A great hobby that you loved.
A great hobby that I love.
Yeah.
But then there was applying to be a trainee solicitor, and there was applying to do tech sales, and there's applying to investment banks, which was my career.
Yes.
And that's what I had to do. Which is so weird how I did not join the dots, like, at all. Because I was like, this is what I love, and what you do for work is not supposed to be what you love. Do you know what I mean? It's supposed to be hard. But then in fourth year, it was I went through a difficult time in COVID, obviously, as many people did, with mental health, and someone in my family got quite sick, and it was just a dark place. And then we had just got out of it, and we performed Guys and Dolls in my last year, in fourth year, before breaking up, and we performed, and we got a standing ovation, and I came off the stage, and like my mum just like looked at me, and she was like, I've never seen you as happy as you are when you leave the stage, and like it would be such an injustice for you not to do this.
Oh my God.
If like I don't even know if God comes into it, I don't even know if I believe in God or any of that stuff, but she was like, you have been given a gift, and it's like it would be terrible if you didn't use it or do something with it. You have to do this. Like she was telling me, yourself, you have to do this, and I said, I know I have to do this, Mom. But at that stage, it was really late in the year. There was one school left with auditions open, which happened to be Mount View, which happened to be, thank God, one of the best for musical theatre.
Yeah.
So I sent in an audition at the same time that I was in these kind of final rounds for corporate jobs. And I was like, do you know what? If I don't get it, it's meant to be. I know it's really hard to get into these things. And if I do get it, then it is meant to be. And I got it. Which...
How amazing, like how magical
so
that it's like the one, like Mikey's, as you said, like one of the
Like,
best
one of
in
the
the
best,
world
yeah.
It's
for
incredible,
musical theatre.
It is incredible.
And that was the one that was still open at the point that you had that moment
I know.
being like, this
That's
is what I need. And you got that affirmation from your mum of being like
you need.
your mum knows
We're
you
gonna
better
do
than
this.
anyone
I know.
else, you know?
My mum knows me better than I do. Like I really believe that,
Isn't that so amazing?
But that's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, that's meant to be.
Yeah. And whatever you believe in the world, and you know, that's really special that you got that.
Even the chorus director, we had to do interviews at the callback, and she was like, why do you want this? And I was like, well, because it's the only school I applied for and I really fucking need it.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I said
I
that.
love it.
And she said, why have you chosen to do a postgraduate? And I said, because I've done my undergraduate. Like, I was just so black and white. Like, I wasn't thinking of ever any clever answers. I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I know I can do this. Come on.
Yeah.
Let me in. And thank God she took me seriously. Her name's Rachel Galvo. She actually has a PhD in like feminist theatre studies. She's really cool. She was a big inspiration for me to write my show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to invite her to the London show.
Sure.
Yeah.
But so she did my interview and then she saw me off on my last day in
Wow.
August. Yeah.
That's so nice.
I know.
So you graduated fairly recently then?
I graduated in August, yeah.
Like August, like...
Just gone.
Wow.
I know.
You're fresh out.
I am fresh meat, which feels like... Sometimes I feel a little bit guilty that I haven't, like... This sounds like an awful thing to say, but like...
You've not struggled enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah. I got a commercial job while still at doing my masters.
Yeah.
Where I was the lead producer, and to this day I'm like,
yeah,
that was all just luck. I shouldn't have done it.
100%.
And it's like, actually no. I can then sit back and be like, if this was my friend, I'd be like, you've worked really hard, you were an expert in that area, that's why. Yeah. But it does, you have that moment of being like, everyone in this industry talks about those years they struggled.
Yeah.
It's like there are hundreds of thousands of people in the industry who like deserve this as well.
Yes.
And it kills me sometimes.
But
it's like,
But that doesn't negate what you've done, what you've achieved, and that's that imposter syndrome again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think everyone in
that's
this
that
industry.
niggling voice, and it's not right.
It is. I always say to my mum, like, anyone could do this, Mum. Anyone could do this. And she was like, Rachel, you know
But you're doing.
But you are doing it. Anyone
you're
could,
doing it.
but you're the one who's doing it.
And I can tell you right now, not anyone could.
Exactly.
Not anyone could. I can do what you do.
I know, it's daunting, isn't it? My mum was like, I think comedy is the hardest thing, getting up by yourself and being that vulnerable. And I was like, why are you saying this, Mum? They've already gone on sale.
No, but it is like, genuinely, and I'm really going to blow smoke up your arse here, but it's really impressive, like, the fact that you've, you know, made this show and you've like, you know what, I'm going to put this on, and really putting yourself out there, and because it is such a personal story as well, and you're really like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go and do 3 shows in Dublin and a show in London in like in this amazing theatre and Glasgow and all the rest, like.
And the way that you're protecting yourself as an artist within that. So you're saying, like, I am not a comedian.
I'm not. No.
I am a writer and performer, an artist.
Yeah.
And you are holding your own right as an artist to identify and name yourself.
Yeah.
And not letting
Exactly.
a certain man here or whoever from the industry to come like, so we're going to put you on this and we're going to put you on this
100%.
because that's a very easy path to go through. And I say that with no judgment of anyone who does that. But like, I really respect you saying, even when I was like, oh, I know this agent, and you're like, I don't want to be a comedian.
I don't.
I want to
But
be
it could be
who I am.
so easy, especially because everything like you've sold out, you know, so like quickly, these venues and stuff, it's all going so well. It could be so easy to just let yourself kind of be taken in on that journey. And you're like, no, that's not what I want. I want this, and this is what I'm going to do. You know.
No, I know my path and I know my journey, and it's like I was saying, I did lots of, for some reason, all the magazine and newspaper interviews in Ireland fell on this week, and like I'm going to be doing the 6 o'clock show on Friday, and I'm not like shying away of the fact that I'm saying I want to write a TV show. I want this to turn into a TV show. I want to be a playwright. I want to act. I still want to act. And I love comedy, but I'm not a comedian. As in, like, this is a show that I wrote and it's a story. Rather than in the traditional sense of set up punchline, gag. I don't rely on a punchline. It's like the whole story. And it's funny at times, but it's also like, at times, especially for women, especially for people who grew up, you know, in Catholic schools. It's the type of show that you laugh while you're in it, but I hope that people come away really thinking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
and what you were saying about protecting yourself. So my name is Rachel Galvin, and my stage name is Rachel Galvo, and that seems like such a small change, but it's really such a separation of business and my personal life. Because whilst the show is based on my own life, things have to be changed. Names and even context of where I'm being extremely vulnerable. And I talk like, I'm planning on talking about, you know, obviously I talk about sexual experiences in a funny way, but I also talk about more difficult conversations that are extremely vulnerable, and I have to protect myself. And something else we're taught in drama school is like, performance isn't therapy. Do you know what I mean? You do not, that's not safe for you to use this as your therapy. Like, it's a separate entity to me. So yeah.
That's so important, especially as a writer that's performing in your own stuff. Creating that separation. Like, I mean, I'm writing a play at the minute, and it's, which I talk about endlessly. Oh my god,
it's mentioned in every podcast.
As you should, 100%.
But we did an R&D of it about a month ago, and when we were sitting, and because I'd written it, and it was always with, okay, I'm going to perform this, but hearing 2 other people perform that, and I looked at this, and the character that I'd be playing, I'm like, no, that's far too similar to me. And like, if you're playing that over, it's like, where's the line? I know. Where's like, it's this blurred line between you and the character, and if it's, especially if it's you writing stuff, and it's, even if it's based on like personal experiences as well, it makes it even harder, because you're like, I need to make sure, especially if you are talking about some heavier issues, that you are protecting yourself, and that you do come off stage and you're okay. You know?
And come off stage and shake off the character. And you're not carrying it home with you and into bed with you
100%.
and into the next few days with you. Because I think you can also, like, when you're, I find for me, Aisling B talks about it, like, writing is the loneliest job. You're by yourself, and not only are you by yourself in the real world, but you're by yourself in your head and in your thoughts all the time, and you're not kind of grounded in the now. And something that I find can be quite difficult when you're looking back and writing about those experiences, you can kind of like overindulge in darker times and wallow in it and try to be the broody writer and all this kind of stuff. But you have to shake that off and come back to present day you that's living right now, because I'm not the 15-year-old I was when I went through that moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 10 years later, you know? So, and I have moved on from that, and that's why I am able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm very vulnerable as well on my TikTok, and I talk a lot about mental health and kind of sexuality in terms of like, I think young girls move far too fast, and young boys. I think people just, before they even know about their own sexuality, and I don't know. I just try to give older sister advice, right? And I talk about body image, and people always say like, oh my God, you're so vulnerable and that's amazing. But I'm only able to talk about that stuff because I'm at the other side.
Yeah.
I would not talk about that stuff if I was still in it, because I wouldn't know how to deal with it. Like I only talk, and that's the same for my comedy stuff. I don't, nothing in my show is stuff that I'm currently going through in my personal life.
But that's that thing of, you know, writing and performing is not therapy.
No, it's not.
So, and we were told the same in drama. Like it's...
Because that's not interesting for anyone else.
It's not interesting.
It's not their
it's really
story.
not healthy either.
No, it's not healthy.
Like if you're coming off stage and you're really upset about something that you had to like do on stage, then that's not really good.
I know.
You know, it's not really healthy or sustainable.
Yeah, I know. And actually, I don't even know if you like are going to put this in, but that's something that has like even heightened my awareness of this, is Baby Reindeer coming out.
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched it yet either, but I'm seeing all this press around it and all these lawsuits that are coming in, and the Piers Morgan interview, and it's just like, holy shit, the fact that this was made obvious that this is his life, like bless him, because it's like it's all, the wound is being ripped back open again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as art just existing by itself. Like it's in a vacuum, in a circle, it keeps going around, and whew, it's heavy.
I mean, to a certain extent, anything you write ever is going to be...
Based on personal experience.
Yeah, in some way
Influence,
autobiographical,
yeah.
But it is, again, just creating that separation so that when you get on stage, it's not just you talking like, hey, here's my life story and this is what this is when I wasn't hugged enough as a child. You know what I mean?
100%. I was hugged a lot.
Are you alright?
I was hugged a lot, don't worry.
Yeah, me too.
I was hugged a lot as a child. My parents are very loving. Yeah, so how come... No, we've already done this. Yeah, so how come... Because obviously you went to Trinity.
Yes.
How did you make the decision to come across to Mount View rather than... Because, I mean, did the Lear have a...
Not musical theatre.
Do they not? Oh, okay.
No, they don't. So the Lear in Bow Street, and like I think there's incredible like straight acting training in Ireland. And I'm not totally aware of musical theatre training in Ireland, but I just always grew up with the knowledge that like you have to go to London.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that's where the West End is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like New York is where Broadway is, but that's not affordable, and there's problems with equity and stuff. But I just knew that I had to come over. Yeah, and honestly, all my friends from Trinity were moving for their corporate jobs.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
It did, but it's like, it breaks my heart to leave. Like it really, really does. And like, I don't know why I'm so obsessed with guilt. It's like such an inherently Irish thing to feel guilty and talk about death, but there's like a constant guilt that my parents have done so much for me and then I leave them. Not in the sense that like, you must love me and miss me so much, guys. I'm sorry I have to leave. I'm the best thing that's ever happened. But like, we are a very, very close family. And in a way, like, I'm like, is this really selfish of me to leave? To follow my dreams? There's nothing like Irish family and community and that sense of like all belonging together. And even all of my friends that have moved over here that work here and we have our lives here and we can see ourselves staying here, there's like no doubt that we are all like going to have our families in Ireland 10 years down the line. Like it's not even a question, it's just a shared understanding, like we're all gonna live here and we're gonna go for swims on Sundays and we're gonna have our family dinners. Like I think there's just, even going on dates with guys, there's such a huge difference going on dates with an Irish guy and an English guy, because there's that like shared, unsaid, unspoken understanding between you that like Ireland is where the support system is. And like your family, and if something goes wrong, you literally drive down the road for a cup of tea. And the door's always open. And all my cousins that live in Cork and Kerry, like they don't lock their doors because all my cousins live in a row and all their farms in a row. So it's just like they turn up on the moped or on the horse and you just go in. Sometimes no one's in the house. You just go in and make yourself a cup of tea, and like that. That's what I dream of. That is home to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even like in a familial sense, the people that aren't my family, the people online, as cringy as that sounds, but like the support I've received from people I've never met before, for the success I've had recently from Irish people, specifically the Irish girls and the gays. There's no support network like them. It's like Irish people just have each other's backs.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they really do.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've really found that. Again, we talked about it on the podcast last time, Jesus, but there is something really comforting about finding another Irish person and talking to them, and even just hearing the accent and talking about like a really niche place that like no one like from the UK or from Britain would know, and just being able to talk about things. Like, I think when you performed with us before in February, and so much of what you were talking about that night, it was like, oh, I empathize with that, and I get that, because it's like, it's a reference that I understand. You know? And that's so important. But
it kind of works in both ways, because I was really worried about my show being only applicable to Irish people, because you had to understand it. But when I went and did the Kaleidoscope Festival with Mountview, the whole audience was English. And they loved it because it was such a foreign concept to them. And they thought that was hilarious. So it actually works in both ways.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? Because it seems totally ridiculous to people who aren't from Ireland, and the people who are, that they can relate to it. Do you know what I mean?
So it's like, there's like, you know, Kevin Bridges, the Glasgow comedian.
Yes,
Heard of him.
Yeah, he's like amazing. But he wrote a book, which I read a couple of years ago, and he said that was his problem when he left Glasgow and he was coming down to Manchester or London or whatever. And he said he felt like he had to change the material, because all his stuff was about growing up in Glasgow and kind of that. But then he just was like, you know what, I'm not going to change it. And people loved it, even though they didn't know what it was like in Clydebank. You know what I mean?
I think
they kind of get the kind of gist of what he's saying, and they can relate to it in their own way, you know?
Yeah, because but it's also because that's a performance, and you're painting a picture for people and taking them into another world. It's something I've learned with both performing and with being like online as a creator. People are smart. They know when you're being inauthentic, and they know when you're being yourself. And they're only interested in you being yourself, because everyone else is trying to do the dumb thing and be someone else, and that's so boring. That is so boring. So like, come and tell me your story. I only want to hear people's stories. I don't want to hear them retell me my story and a lived experience. I want to be taken away for that hour, those 2 hours, to your world, to where you grew up. Do you know what I mean? So I think like there's so much to be said for keeping authentic.
So we've got our questions that we're going to ask every guest. So first one, what is your favourite Irish saying?
Níl aon tinton mar the hinton féin. So like, there's no like hearth fireplace like your own. So there's no place like home. I
was not expecting Irish to come out.
I love the Irish.
I love that.
Oh, really? So my granddad, who just passed, was a Gaeilgeoir. And he set up an all Irish speaking school, and so my whole mum's side of the family are Gaeilgeoirs.
Oh, cool.
And so like, when we were kids, if they had to talk about something serious, it would all be Os Gaeilge, and so we couldn't understand.
Oh, amazing. That's so cool.
Oh, that's so special.
Yeah. It is.
Do you think that makes you like, I don't know how to ask this, do you feel like privileged to be able to be like, that as part of me?
I'm shy for Irish. I'm really shit. But I also, I'm not going to blame myself. I'm going to blame the school system. No, I'm joking. But I think that like, how much Irish is kind of forced down our throats in like an academic sense, and not in like a loved language, spoken word sense, makes like people resent it. The fact that you have to do it, and like, learn your Shanachal and learn your Strapic tour, and it's like, but then it's really hard as well, because it's not spoken anymore. So it's like, why, you know, how do you teach it in a conversational sense? But I feel like that sense of pride for my granddad and for his side of the family. Do you know what I mean?
That's really awesome.
But I'm not able to carry it on.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't speak a word of it. Well, I know a word here and there, because I never had to learn it. Because you don't have to learn it in the north. So
actually, where we did it in the London Irish Centre in Camden, where we did Sláinte Theatre, when I was leaving and my friends were getting some drinks at the bar. Sorry, so for people who don't know, there's the London Irish Centre in Camden, which is where loads of Irish creatives go when they hang out, and just Irish people in general go, and there's just hangouts. And there were just these old men at the bar. And
I know these old men.
Yeah, and they were all speaking Oscuelga to each other, and they had their little booklets out if they forgot a word. And I literally just burst into tears because I was like, oh my God, that is my granddad.
Yeah.
Like, that is my granddad.
But that's really nice. I'm not even going to attempt to say what you just said, but basically...
I love the meaning of it.
Yeah,
It's
like there's no
Yeah.
place like home. That's like a really nice, you know, and it aligns so much with what we've just been talking about, you know. Favorite pub in London, if you have one.
Oh God, this is embarrassing because I'm not a huge drinker in the sense that yes, I'll like black out every few months because I don't know how to handle alcohol, but I won't like go to the pub with my friends after work or on a weekend. I mean, I will, but I'll have a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Like, I don't enjoy drinking casually because alcohol just doesn't really work well with me, and it really affects my mental health. And sometimes if there's a big event, I will drink, and then I just don't know when to stop, and I'll go overboard, and then I'll just feel anxious and shitty for the next few weeks. But if I do happen to have one of those huge nights out, I invariably end up at the Swan, which is embarrassing. It's not a lovely traditional Irish pub that does the best Guinness, and I wish I could say that there's this quaint old place down the crack of Yale, Arsehole Town, but there's not. I'm probably dancing on the stage at the Swan to the Cranberries.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely love it. I'm never as patriotic as I am when I'm screaming like these Irish songs at 6 a.m. in the Swan. I love it.
Zombie comes on the Swan here.
Yeah. I absolutely love it.
No, the Swan's a good, you know.
It's brilliant.
So it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Or like the Ship for a rugby match or something, you know.
Is there an Irish... So the question is there an Irish or Scottish creative? For this reason, we'll say Irish. Is there an Irish creative that's left like a lasting impact on you, or that you feel like deserves more recognition?
Well, this person is doing so well anyway, but I think that CMAT deserves to be like Taylor Swift level famous. When I was in university, I used to perform at some festivals with the Trinity Orchestra. Yeah. And then after 4th year, I went with Trinity Orchestra to All Together Now. And I'd never heard of CMAT, and they were like, come and see this girl, she's amazing. She used to go to Trinity. And it was like, I think maybe because her story is she's Irish and she went to Trinity and then she's done this thing. And it was like, I saw God. Like, I'm not even joking. I want to be a cowboy, baby. And everyone was singing it with her. And it was like, I've never seen a performance like it. Yeah. She just knows how to carry a crowd. I mean, she's doing so well, but I think she's also just so well informed about like Irish history and like the tradition of Irish music and Irish musicians before. It's not just like she decided she wanted to make music and other people wrote songs for her. Like she's really put work into this. And like I just love her music. It makes me feel so good. Do you know her?
No, never.
Oh my guys, you have to look her up. She's incredible.
Yeah, I'll look her up for that. Yeah.
She is.
Oh,
that's amazing.
Yeah. I think she just performed on like Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon or something like that, something huge. Like,
wow,
she's doing really well, but she deserves to be like Coldplay level. Like, she is.
I'll listen,
Please do.
That's really nice there.
Yeah,
especially because like music is such a key part of like Irish.
And she's a real storyteller.
Nice.
Which is like really core to like Ireland is like the storytelling traditional
for sure,
right? And
which is why everyone's an actor.
100%. Yeah. I know Paul and Killian and everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
But like I said, I don't consider myself like a comedian. I consider myself a storyteller. I see a lot of myself in that in her as well, because her songs aren't like drop your ass and I'm wet and my pussy is, you know what I mean? Like it's like literally each song's a story, and you can like she's painting a picture for you, and I can see it in my head.
After that.
Oh my god, you're
I know I am.
It's like Nashville, my favorite song.
It's like that Christy Moore thing, you know, like he just sits and you listen to him and he's just like he just tells a wee story, you know what I mean?
He's like, what? Sorry?
Is it, you know, listen to Christy Moore and you'll know exactly what I mean.
She just knows how to fucking tell a story with the guitar. Yeah. And like it's just incredible. I think she's so cool.
I'll listen to her after this.
We'll put her in the podcast.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone moving to London from where you're from Dublin?
Don't move without a job. It doesn't work out. You'll be sad and broke.
It's tough.
You have to be organised with your sociability. I think spontaneity is a big part of socialising in Ireland. Like, will we head to the pub? Will we go for a walk? Will we go for a swim? I'll run by yours and collect you. London is huge, and like it'll take you 40 minutes to get somewhere.
Yeah.
So, and like even booking places, even if it's a beer garden, like that has to be booked in advance. So you have to be organized with people you want to meet up, and reach out to people. I don't think you should be humiliated about reaching out to people you've never met before if you really want to meet them. And if they do not respond in a way that's welcoming, then they're not the type of person you want to hang out with anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, you know, they're lost. Drop them. What else? I would say wherever you live, it doesn't have to be a nice place, but make sure it's well connected, because you will feel isolated if it's not well connected. And there are ways, everyone goes on about how London is so expensive. Lots of places, London is so expensive, so is Dublin. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like there are ways to do things in a clever way, cheaper. I mean, I don't want to say cheaper, like it's not cheap, but like they're like Slanch Theatre. Like you guys do amazing, affordable nights where you can meet loads of incredible people, and then that's new friendships and a fabulous experience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And you didn't have to pay for a West End theatre ticket, and you didn't have to pay ridiculous prices for a pint in central London. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would say that's my advice.
Nice.
That's good advice. Good practical advice as well.
Thank you.
We're all like,
I should be saying follow your dreams.
Yeah. No, but you're like, this is what's actually going to help when you come.
Yeah, I would say so.
And how does your heritage influence your work? How would you say?
Oh my God, I feel like all I've ever talked about in this podcast is that, but
I suppose we have touched on the fact that your show is kind of based on
storytelling.
Irish
I think
Catholic
it's very
story,
much like going back to my granddad. God, I don't know, since he's passed, he's just like omnipresent. Like I'm just talking about him all the time. And like you feel this guilt because it's like, why didn't I talk about him as much when he was alive or whatever? But
like how special you get to like keep his
Exactly.
oh my God,
alive and what you do as well.
But he was the first storyteller performer. Like he was the first performer of my family. So like I grew up with him telling us like folklore and fairy tales and stories, and we would go on these long walks. He was like a hiker, like he did the Camino and all that, and so he would take us on these like 7-hour walks, and he would just be telling us stories as Gaeilge, or like all these kind of, he would be teaching us Shanachal, or which is like Irish proverbs and sayings, and he just made it so magical, and he had these fabulous, I don't even know which ones were real and which ones were fairy tales. Like it was amazing. And then as we grew older and we had like Christmas dinners or Easter dinners or Sunday lunches, everyone had to do a party piece after a meal. Like that is the rule. So you get in a circle and everyone would have like their drink or like their ice cream or whatever, and everyone has to do something. So you're telling a poem, or you're singing a song, or you're playing an instrument, or you're telling a story, which is what he did, and which is what a lot of people did. So then, so like even at my granddad's funeral, then my dad told like a story which he always told, and it's just gorgeous. And so yeah, the storytelling tradition is really how, like what inspires my work, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is not even a year out of
I know
drama school.
I know.
So I mean, I hate the 5-year plan, 10-year plan. But like, what's the goal? Like, not a plan, but like, what do you see? What do you want to be doing in the future? And like,
I think this is an issue with like my ADHD because I have so many different dreams.
Yes.
And I want my fingers in so many different pies. Like, I really want this show. I want us to do this show as many times as possible because I love it. And then I really would love to kind of turn the story into a script. I would love to write a TV show about an Irish creative who, you know, leaves Ireland and comes to either London or New York with all of her very high achieving corporate friends and, you know, the people you meet along the way and the experiences you have, like Fleabag / normal people style / Dairy Girl style. I would love to write something like that. I'd love to get an acting agent. I would really love to act. I want to do what CMAT did. I really want to write music and sing at a festival. Like I'm a good singer, you know? Again, I'm just bragging about myself. It's painful.
You're acknowledging your skills.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with
and
that.
Broadcasting, I'd love to be like a radio, TV presenter.
Right.
Yeah. And then like down the line, I would love to host the Late Late Show when I'm like 40, 50 in Dublin. And then I want to open restaurants and have a cooking show.
Wow, I love this.
I like ask me back in 6 months and it's all going to be. They've always been my dreams.
Are you really into cooking?
So into cooking. I started my own like little kind of catering bakery business during COVID.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What can you not do?
Yeah.
So many things. Anything not creative, anything sporty, anything like strictly academic. I just don't do that stuff at all.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Romantic life. No. Talk to boys.
I see this all happening for you as well. Like,
That's
I
amazing.
think you're so passionate and you're so motivated that like you'll do it.
I could actually Late Show. I could really see you doing the
Oh
Late
my
Show.
god, guys, I would love it.
Yeah.
We'll make some calls.
Yeah.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
just-
I appreciate that.
I'll call up Paddy Kilty and be like, hey.
Yeah.
you've
Oh,
had-
there needs to be female presenters.
Exactly.
There needs to be more female presenters.
Paddy's done it for a year. He can,
Yeah,
he can take some time
100%.
off.
Yeah. No, I definitely do that much later on though when I'm like when I've had my kids.
Settling
yeah.
down. Yeah.
So guys, hold off. Don't contact me yet.
Not yet. She's not interested yet. Okay, just in 20 years, 30 years time.
So do you think after Shite Feminist, so you're doing September, October?
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to continue for next year, or do you think after you've done?
I don't think
like,
that'll.
dates,
I don't see
new
Shite
show?
Feminist happening in 2025.
Okay,
Right
so that's end of year.
But they might go really well, and then they might say, "Let's do one in New York or Sydney," and
Yeah.
then that's not going to happen pre 2025. So that will be happening in 2025.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would like I put my heart and soul into this show, so as many
Yeah.
times as I can do it and get away with doing
Yeah,
it,
of
I will
course.
do.
Yeah.
But I also love to keep moving.
Yeah.
And if it
Have the
means
next
coming
one.
back and doing like shows again, the same show, The Shite Feminist, in a year's time, but doing other stuff in the meanwhile, I probably want to start a podcast, is what me and my managers have been talking about.
Nice.
Yeah, great.
I haven't had the time right now because I'm still in my corporate job,
Yeah.
but leaving in 2 weeks. But I would love to maybe do a podcast, and I really want to take the writing seriously. I want to write more and act more.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. What would your podcast be called? Or do you not know?
What a load of shite. Something like that. Something with shite or
Yeah.
crack or grand.
Yeah.
Something kind of like Irish and naughty and vulgar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, naughty.
Love that. Love
Yeah.
that. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Oh, guys, what fun.
We
I'm
love
so
hanging out with you.
I love hanging out with you too. I'm
Rachel
scared to listen back. I'm scared about all the shite I've
Yeah.
spoken, but yeah.
Yeah, Rachel Galvo, remember the name. So much happening for you, and I'm so excited for you.
And we're so excited to have been like
Yeah.
part of that and to
Yeah.
do whatever we can to keep it going.
Of course,
you know, we're always
because,
on your side.
Like,
so.
absolutely, and I cannot wait to see what happens next because, you've got big things coming.
Your style.
It could all crash and burn, but I'm having fun
But
for
it's
now.
happening now, yeah.
It's happening now, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for watching and or listening. If you still are, maybe you're not. I don't know.
Is anybody out there?
We're just sitting in a room talking to ourselves. We've got an event coming up on the 28th of May at the Lion and Unicorn Theatre in London.
Woo!
Tickets are on sale now. I
Yeah,
think. They are.
they
Yes,
are.
they are. Come down. We would love to see you there. And we've got Instagram, we've got a website, Sláinte Theatre. Put our name into Google, you'll find us in some
And we
point.
can find Rachel.
You can find Rachel Galvo.
Instagram, TikTok, Ticketmaster, wherever.
All of the
Rachel
above.
Galvo on every
Rachel
platform.
Galvo.
Get tickets to Oran Moore in Glasgow. Get tickets to Leicester
Edinburgh
Square
Fringe,
Theatre. The
Leicester
Edinburgh Fringe.
Yes.
She's going everywhere.
It's big.
And it's great. It's a wonderful show.
We'll be there.
We'll
so
be there.
come hang with us. Lunch and trip.
Party after.
Even more incentive for you to come. Yeah. Thank you
Brilliant.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.